In a small village by the great river, nestled between the green hills and the vast savannah, there lived a fisherman named Kwame. He was a man of simple pleasures, known to all for his honesty, hard work, and quiet strength. His boat was old but sturdy, his nets well worn but effective. Each day, he would row out into the river, casting his nets with care, and return with enough fish to feed his family and share with the village. Kwame lived in a modest hut made of palm fronds with his wife, Amina, and their 3 children. Their home wasn't much, but it was filled with laughter, love, and the warmth of community. Like most villagers, Kwame's happiness didn't come from riches or fine things. It came from the steady rhythm of life, the sound of the river as it flowed past his home, the sight of his children playing in the dirt, and the shared meals with neighbours. One morning, while fishing near the edge of the river, Kwame noticed something strange. A large fish, shining with a strange golden hue, had gotten caught in his net. It was unlike any fish he had ever seen before. Its scales shimmered like gold under the morning sun. Kwame felt a wave of wonder wash over him. He had heard stories of such magical creatures, but he had always dismissed them as old wives' tales. He gently lifted the fish from the water, and to his surprise, the fish spoke. "Kwame," it said in a voice as smooth as the river's surface, "I am not an ordinary fish. I am a spirit of the river. For saving me, I will grant you a gift. Ask for anything, and it shall be yours." Kwame stared at the fish, unsure if he had heard right. "Anything?" he asked, his heart racing. "I can ask for whatever I want?" "Yes," the fish replied, its golden scales glittering even more brightly. "I can grant you wealth, power, or anything your heart desires. Just say the word." Kwame thought for a moment. The village was small, and the people lived humbly, but he had always dreamed of a better life. A house with a roof that didn't leak, enough food for his children, and perhaps a bit more for the villagers who often went hungry. He was not a greedy man, but the thought of making life easier for his family was a powerful temptation. "I want a prosperous life," Kwame said finally. "I want a home that will be strong and warm for my family. And I want my children to never go hungry." The fish's golden eyes glowed brighter, and with a flick of its tail, it spoke again. "It shall be done. But remember, the true measure of wealth is not in what you hold in your hands, but in the love and care you give to others. Take this gift with a humble heart." Kwame nodded, though a part of him felt uneasy. The fish disappeared into the depths of the river, and the golden light faded. He rowed home, his thoughts swirling. What would this gift look like? Would it change his life forever? That evening, when Kwame returned home, he found something unexpected. His hut, which had always been small and humble, had been transformed. It was now a spacious house, built from strong timber, with a thatched roof that looked sturdy and secure. His family's old cooking pot had turned into a set of beautiful clay vessels. The ground outside was neatly swept, and even the small garden where Amina grew vegetables had been expanded and well maintained. Kwame was overjoyed. He called Amina and the children to see the change. They couldn't believe their eyes. Amina hugged him tightly, tears of joy in her eyes. "This is the gift the fish spoke of," Kwame said, still in awe. But as the days passed, Kwame began to notice something strange. The golden fish's gift was not without a cost. At first, the house and the new possessions seemed like a blessing, but soon Kwame found himself distracted by them. He spent hours admiring the strong walls of his house and the fine tools in his garden. He began to wonder how he could make even more money, perhaps to expand the house further or buy more cattle for the family. As the weeks went by, Kwame's heart grew heavy. The village, which had once been a place of joy and simple pleasures, now felt different to him. He no longer visited the river to fish with the same joy he once had. He began to worry about what else he could get, what other riches he could acquire. And as he became consumed with these thoughts, the people of the village, who had always been his friends, started to seem distant. His neighbours stopped coming by to visit as often, and the laughter that used to fill his home grew quieter. One morning, as Kwame sat alone on the porch of his new house, he heard a familiar voice, Amina's. She had brought some fish from the market to cook for lunch, but when Kwame looked at her, he realised something had changed in her eyes. She no longer looked at him with the same warmth. There was a sadness in her gaze. "Kwame," she said gently, "you've been so focused on the house and all the things the fish gave us. But we were happiest before, when we were just the four of us, fishing, working together in the village. I feel like we're losing something." Kwame looked at her, and for the first time in weeks, he felt a pang of regret. He had been so consumed by the fish's gift that he had forgotten the true wealth he already had, the love of his family, the bond with his village, and the peace of his simple life. That evening, Kwame went to the river alone, his heart heavy with the realization that he had lost sight of what was truly important. He sat by the water, watching the moonlight dance on its surface, and called out to the river spirit. "I have made a mistake," he said, his voice soft. "I asked for wealth, but I have forgotten what matters. Please, take back what you have given me. I do not need it. What I need is the peace and happiness I had before." The water rippled, and the golden fish appeared once again. "Kwame," it said, its voice kind but firm, "you have learned a valuable lesson. Remember, true happiness comes not from possessions, but from the love and connections you nurture with others." The fish's eyes glowed one last time, and with a flick of its tail, the house and the riches vanished. Kwame returned to his village, humbled but at peace. His home was once again simple, but his heart was full. The next day, he went out to fish with the same joy he had once known, and as he sat with Amina and their children in the evening, the laughter returned to their home. Kwame learned that wealth could never replace the things that truly made life rich: the love of family, the joy of community, and the peace that comes from being content with what you have.